Government affects where we live, where we work, how our children learn, and how our communities grow. Yet too often, the decisions that shape our lives happen without our understanding or participation. That's where Zlography comes in. Welcome to Zlography, where politics is broken down and citizens learn how to govern their government. Hosted by Debz, Zlography examines American politics through a Caribbean lens because informed citizens build stronger communities. This is Zlography. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zlography. I'm your host, Debz. Today's episode, Building Community Brick by Brick, the Power of Civic Leadership. Dwain Smith, third Vice President of the NAACP DeKalb Community Branch, Chairman, Political Action Committee. Welcome to Zlography.
Grand Rising, Deb. Good to be here.
Let's get into it. When you hear the phrase building community brick by brick, what does that mean to you?
Well, it's a foundational principle. So just to introduce myself, which you did a great job, third vice president, which is an elected position, and political action committee chair, which is an appointed position. So I take those two appointments, elected and appointed seriously in terms of what we're doing at the NAACP DeKalb County branch. So in terms of the first question, I did a little research on the way over here and wanted to give a solid statement in response to that question. So building communities brick by brick means creating a strong group step by step through slow, careful, and steady work. Slow progress means it's great things take time. Each person, conversation, or small task is like a single brick, a solid foundation. And I'm a realtor, so understanding how a solid foundation can mean so much in terms of the stability, the strength, the longevity, and the, I guess, how would you say it? The intent for a structure, and having that foundation brick by brick, like for instance, the NAACP, when it was founded in 1909, by a coalition of people, you can consider them those bricks and foundations. They were Jewish people, they were white people, they were African American people. So it was a coalition, and that coalition still exists today. So every brick represents something to support the entire foundation. So everybody has something to contribute, everybody has something to give, and everybody contributes to the strength, the togetherness, the vision and purpose of that solid foundation. So that's kind of what it means for me at this point.
The NAACP is a national organization, and DeKalb NAACP is just a small portion of that. How would you describe the NAACP mission and impact today?
Well, as I mentioned, the founding of the NAACP in 1909 was a result of a race riot in the city of Springfield. And those were commonplace at a certain time in our nation's history. So at that point in time, I mentioned some of the founders were such icons in history as Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell, E.B.D. Du Bois, William English Walling, Oswald Garrison Villard, Mary White Ovington, Dr. Henry Moskowitz. All those were just foundational bricks, as we talked about before, contributing to an organization that's still relevant today. And in terms of what their foundation was and their vision and their goal was, is still relevant even more today. Just read a little thing here, a little comment. The NAACP's mission is to ensure the political, educational equality of minority group citizens of states and eliminate race prejudice. The NAACP works to remove all barriers of racial discrimination through a democratic process. So in 1909 and all the things that were going on at that point in time, we project ourselves in the future now in 2026. and we see the status of this nation and the controversy, the all the trials and tribulations that Black and brown people are going through. And back in 1909, there were serious issues involved. Today, there's serious issues involved. So that community, a brick and building a foundation, has to stand firm today and make an effort to ensure that the Constitution works for everybody, not just a certain group of people. It was for all Americans. And the NAACP is a nonpartisan organization, so we represent all the people, for sure. I'm hoping I did somewhat answer your question there.
No, you certainly did.
Excellent.
As part of the foundation and as third vice president, what are your responsibilities of building that foundation?
Okay, so as third vice president, we have two other vice presidents, a first vice president and also a second vice president. So as third vice president, I assist the illustrious president of the NAACP DeKalb County branch. Mm-hmm. Her name is Edwina Clanton. She is an esteemed strategist. She's adept at organizing things. She's a leader par excellence, and that's a little bit of French thrown in there. So the first vice president, assists her in certain duties, second vice president in certain duties. As third vice president, I represent her as well if she's not in place, such as today, she's out of town at a different meeting. So we make sure we cover her and the entire organization in a leadership position and represent certain aspects of the responsibilities that vice presidents have.
Thank you so much. Are there any major initiatives or projects that DeKalb County NAACP is currently working on?
Absolutely. Well, from the National Association, there is a major goal, and there's a lot of funding that we're receiving from the National for voter registration, voter outreach. This is a midterm election, and every midterm election has significance in terms of the trajectory, the direction that the nation is going in. So with that goal of providing funding for all the branches, and DeKalb County is the second largest branch of the NAACP in the state of Georgia, with Atlanta being number one in terms of membership. So the major initiative from the national is to make sure we do what's called GOTV, get out the vote. Getting out the vote means all aspects of voter outreach. And it's a divine science to make sure people are engaged. Voter registration, 3 parts: voter registration, voter education, and voter mobilization. So with those 3 parts of that puzzle, of that strategy, we'll be going out to communities, to canvass, to neighborhood, knocking on doors, forming coalitions with churches, with other organizations, civil rights organizations, human rights organizations, all the organizations that would come together, such as that initial coalition that started the NAACP in 1909. We'll be getting into the streets. And the immortal John Lewis talked about getting into good trouble.
Yes, good trouble.
Getting into good trouble. So imagine that. Good trouble.
Good trouble.
So good trouble is what he meant, and that's what we do. And that is the major initiative we have right now, is to get into the streets, and includes not only canvassing neighborhoods and forming coalitions, but phone banking, phone texting, and having funds to give a ride to the polls. So it's a multi-pronged approach to make sure that everybody's engaged, because your right to vote is protected by the Constitution. It's been under attack for a while, since Reconstruction, where you had voter suppression and those kind of things. But that is our major initiative at this point in time for all branches throughout the entire nation. The DeKalb County branch is the leader in the state, second largest. So we make sure we are up front and holding that high standard of representing the community in DeKalb County.
I have seen the NAACP all over representing the community, and community doesn't build itself. That brings us to civic engagement, voting rights, civic participation. As chairman of the Political Action Committee, what does your responsibilities are throughout the year?
Right. So as Political Action Committee chair, that major objective we have nationally as well as in the state is to registered voters, make sure they're educated, as well as to make sure they are actually mobilized. And a couple of quotes here, if I have time, from Robert F. Kennedy, who was Jr., who was the Attorney General back in when his brother was president, said that voting is not only our power, our right, it is our power. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, if the cruelties of slavery cannot stop us, the opposition we now face will surely fail. Because the goal of America, and I repeat that, the goal of America, and we are Americans, is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up with America's destiny. Former First Lady talked about voting, and vote like your future depends on it, because it does.
It does.
The immortal John Lewis said, the vote is precious. It's precious. It is the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have. So those are iconic forces that, or those bricks that keep us strengthened and encouraged. So political action is out and about doing events throughout the county. We work with a lot of groups, churches, civic organizations, businesses, as well as cities, schools, colleges, universities. It's a major coalition that we go out to any community, and we're available at any time for anyone, because voter registration is what we do, and we're strong. That's our strong point. One of our strong points anyway. We have various committees in the NAACP, but political action is at the forefront of making sure we register voters, educate voters, and mobilize voters, because your vote is your voice, your vote is your power.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly is. Your vote is your voice, and your vote is your power. Why do you think voters registration, voters education, voters mobilization, and monitoring legislations are equally important?
Well, it's all part of the equation for making sure that the people are represented in the community. And with that approach, we're catching everybody with the interest of the entire community. Legislation means a lot in terms of what we are exposed to. And having the right leadership means that maybe legislation that is not just favoring a certain population or a certain race is going to be a part of the vote, and making that the people who represented us, we voted for them. And if we don't vote for the right people to be in place, then that's going to be a problem such as we're seeing in the country today, where we have voter suppression, unprecedented in terms of the last 10, 15, 20 years. And with the the historic 1965 Voting Rights Act being watered down by a Supreme Court, which has a 6-3 setup right now, being favorable to things such as, in essence, possibly gerrymandering and giving a green light. And for instance, in the Supreme Court case of Louisiana versus Calais, there was pretty cut and dry that giving a foothold to gerrymandering, which is just doing maps that kind of restrict certain populations to a certain area, where you have previously gerrymandering was not allowed, and in such a way it is today. It always existed.
It always existed.
It's always existed. But in terms of today, it's like a green light in essence for certain organizations or certain parties to dilute the voting strength of certain populations, mostly black and brown people.
So that's a form of voter suppression.
Yes.
What does voter suppression mean to you, and what concerns does the NAACP have regarding voting access?
Well, voter suppression has been serious. As I mentioned before, it has existed since the end of Reconstruction. You've heard of poll tax. You've heard of literacy tests. Also, how about this? Counting jelly beans in a jar to vote. That's an impossibility. So in the beginning, we were pressing forward with our new freedom and new right to vote. But at that point in time, after Reconstruction, then the Ku Klux Klan and other organizations and elected officials put pressure and started passing legislation that restricted voting access and is continuing today. Depending on what state you live in, it is a strategy to dilute our vote, and we are strongly opposed to any voter suppression from the national level, state level, and as well as the local level as well.
So we have to build strong communities.
Yeah, absolutely. The community is the foundation, as we talked about the bricks, building bricks and the foundation. So the country is only as strong as the foundation and the people at the local level. All elections are local. Mm-hmm. So once we vote the local officials in and the statewide officials and national officials, then we need to have an idea of what their stance is on all our political views. Whether it be economics or voting or elections or any matter, it matters who we vote for. And again, in looking at the status quo in the nation right now, there is a concerted effort to, in essence, disenfranchise a whole group of people. And we need to make sure that everyone is an educated voter, everyone is engaged, everyone is really coming together at such a time as this. Because when midterms happen, there are elections at the midterm cycle of whoever's holding the Oval Office. So they always shift as like a paradigm shift for the country, the nation. And we're hoping this year we'll see a shift where people are going to come out in record numbers. We need people to come out in record numbers to make a difference in not only this county, but also in the state. On the ballot coming up are all the major offices in the state of Georgia: governor, lieutenant governor, insurance commissioner, secretary of state. So with that kind of ballot, with that kind of election strength and offices that are on the ballot, everybody needs to come out. And you got to make sure we have a strategy in place. It's on our website, and that website is www.naacpdekab.org, or feel free to give us a call at 404-241-8006. We are ready to share our strategy with you, share our plan with you, as well as to come out and do voter registration, voter outreach, and mobilize any community in DeKalb County to ensure that your vote is your power. It is our constitutional right to do so, and we protect that right as much as we possibly can.
Your vote is indeed your power. So how do we inspire people to become active participants instead of spectators?
Well, it's our civic opportunity. It's our civic obligation to acknowledge what the icons of the civil rights movement did for us in getting the right to vote, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King being a really vital part of that, and signing and being at the signing where President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act in 1965, which was so pivotal, a pivotal moment in this nation's history, which allowed Black and brown people to have protection and have a method of participating. We've helped build this nation. So to be a part of the nation and be protected by the Constitution and exercise our constitutional right to vote is something that's vital to our hearts and has been fought for years and continues to be a battle today. I mentioned earlier in 1909, there were so many things going on, race riots, et cetera. After Reconstruction, voter suppression was at a zenith, we thought. But now voter suppression, gerrymandering, all the things, the violence, the intimidation, legislation, all those are a mixture of things that will try to dilute a population that helped build this country, build this nation. Black and brown people are vital to this nation, just like everybody else. Excuse me. So we want to make sure that the importance of voting, the importance of exercising that constitutional right is at the forefront. It's incumbent upon all of us to ensure that we come out to vote. If you need any motivation, come and join the NAACP, DeKalb County branch, or whatever county you're in. We look forward to volunteers, because we can only exist, we can only be so effective only with each individual brick that builds a foundation that is so vital to the NAACP or any organization. So Madam President Edwina Clanton talks about many hands make light work. So everyone should come out and make a difference in the community, make a difference in your neighborhood, make a difference in your family, and come out and join the fight. I keep referring to how powerful we are as individual bricks, but we're only as strong as the entire brick and foundation of a house that stands firm, stands together, and is willing to come out and make an impact in the 2026 midterm elections. It's incumbent upon us to make a stand, and to make a stand that's going to change, be a paradigm shift in this nation, the way it's governed, the way it's led, as well as the way that we can ensure that the rights of all Americans are protected and our constitutional rights are strengthened, not watered down, but strengthened, and we're encouraged to move forward.
In order to be strengthened, we do need the youth's participation. How is DeKalb County NAACP engaging young people to register and vote?
Right. So we have a youth council in the NAACP, and we have a very good leadership. We have leadership in that committee as well. So in terms of going out to the colleges, going out to the schools, getting the youth involved, that is a strategy that every single NAACP in the nation has among the other committees that are engaged in the foundation for the NAACP. So we recruit young people, parents bring young people to our events. We make sure that they are aware of voting, what voting means, what the civil rights movement meant to us and continues to mean for us as well as the civics. It was called civics back in my day, but history, political science, all those things are part of the equation that we instill in our youth to ensure that they are educated. They get a lot of training in school, but their parents are also engaging us to say, okay, my child, my son, my daughter needs to know more about what it means to vote, what it means to get out in the community, what it means to go door to door. And a lot of the families do come out with us and go door to door in terms of canvassing. And the program, the national program that's beginning in August, running through the midterm elections, is something that will continue to engage our youth in, from the early elementary school through high school, and of course colleges and universities is also a mandatory source for us to tap into to make sure the youth are engaged. They are our future, so we must include them in all the strategic planning and the actual activities for voting rights, voting education, and voter mobilization. That's part of what we do.
What message would you share with people who feel that their vote doesn't matter?
Okay, we do a lot of voter registration events, and that question comes up quite a bit. And our response is, if the parties that are trying to suppress your vote, trying to take away your vote, trying to water down the Voting Rights Act of 1965, if they were not intentionally doing this to weaken us, then why would you think they would be doing it? So the vote matters a whole lot to not only this country, but individuals as well. So we kind of emphasize to them, your vote matters because it is your constitutional right to do so, but also sources are fighting so very hard daily with legislation, with gerrymandering, with suppression, with intimidation, all the factors to make sure that your vote does not count. So that is the answer. That's one of the answers we give them, depending on what the additional questions are. However, that is a question that we answer. They wouldn't be fighting so hard to suppress the vote, to take away the vote if it didn't matter.
With gerrymandering and voter suppression, how important is coalition building among Georgia's diverse communities?
So coalition business building is going to be a vital part of success. Success meaning in DeKalb County, which is the fourth largest in terms of the voting population or registered voters. DeKalb County has about 520 plus thousand registered voters and 500,000 active voters. DeKalb has 71,000 inactive voters. So there's a voting block that we have to reach, that we have to contact and reconnect with to ensure that they're actively engaged in their constitutional right to do so. So at any point in time, we have to ensure that the entire population, as much as possible, is going to be engaged in all the activities for ensuring that they are part of the election process. And part of that election process means that you are going to make sure that you're registered to vote. And that voting page is going to be www.mvp.sos.ga.gov, or feel free to call the NAACP DeKalb County branch, and we'll also share our voting strategy with you. But you must make sure you are registered to vote. And if you're registered to vote, then that means you have a stake in a high stakes contest to ensure that your vote will make a difference for now. And again, it's incredibly important for everyone to be registered to vote and to exercise their constitutional right to do so in this 2026 midterm elections. So I encourage you, give us a call, get involved, come out, get into the streets with us, join the NAACP. It's only $30 per year. So $30 per year, you spend that on maybe a lunch, a daily lunch, or Starbucks coffee in a day or so. So come out, get involved, get engaged. It is your obligation, is your duty, we hope, to come out and exercise your vote, your right to vote, and your community as well.
Talking about voting and registering to vote, I know that there is a deadline. Could you talk to us about that deadline to register?
Right. So to register for the midterm elections in November 3rd is election day. Of course, advanced voting starts a couple of weeks before that. But October 5th, 2026 is the absolute deadline to register to vote in order to be eligible to vote on November 3rd. So target that date, write it on your calendar. Make sure you again, October 5th, the last day to vote, to register to vote for the November 3rd election. Now, what you can do is put it on your calendar to check weekly. Go into mvp.sos.ga.gov to ensure that you are registered to vote. Last year, the Secretary of State sent out letters to purge at least 400,000 voters who were not participating in national elections and some even local elections. So we are also engaging people to ensure that if you were removed from the voting polls, that you register to make sure you are on a poll, you are a registered voter in Georgia. So that is crucial, it is critical. Make sure you check on a weekly basis to ensure that you are registered to vote.
Your voice matters, your vote matters. Make sure you're registered by October 5th so that your voice can be heard. Dwain, if you could leave one action for the viewers to take this month to build stronger communities, what would it be?
Okay, so I have to go back to a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and it's a quote that talks about a certain population of having access to the vote, but being slow to act upon voting, which is our constitutional right to do so. So it's written in 1965 terminology from Dr. King, but we want to embrace everybody so they can come out and say, okay, not slow to exercise our right, but to move forward and do some things. So I'm going to read a quote. It's in 1965 terminology, but it's relevant to everybody who wants to be a part of making this country better. So he begins with, quote, even when the polls are open to all, Negroes have shown themselves too slow to exercise their voting privileges. There must be a concerted effort on the part of Negro leaders to arouse their people from their apathetic indifference. In the past, apathy was a moral failure. I repeat that. In the past, apathy was a moral failure. Today, it is a form of moral and political suicide, unquote. Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King from 1960s. That's relevant to the day and relevant not to Negroes only or black people, black and brown people, but for everybody. In the 2020 elections, 80 million, that we had a record number of people who voted, but there are a record number of people who stayed at home as well. So your vote is your power. Come join us at the NAACP DeKalb County branch. If you're in a different county, Cobb County, Atlanta, Rockdale County, then join the NAACP. Be a part of the equation. If you're not part of the solution, then you may be part of the problem. So come join with us at the NAACP. Thank you. Come out. Your vote is your power. Your vote is your voice.
I like that. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That is so true. Even to this day, we have the leaders or so-called leaders in office because a lot of us stayed home and didn't vote. We're going to switch gears now for a moment. We're going to go to the fun area, Zlography lightning round. Quick questions, quick answers, no overthinking, just your first response. Leadership is?
A powerful understanding of what resources you can use individually and corporately.
Democracy works best when?
Everybody participates. It is our constitutional right to vote. So exercise all aspects of what you have to make this country better.
Community begins with?
Everybody. Everybody's the community. Those bricks, you are part of that brick, part of that foundation, come together as a solid foundation.
Every citizen should?
Register to vote. Make sure you're engaged. Make sure you come out to vote. Engage your family, your community as well. Let's get it done together. It's crucial. It's critical. It is your right, your power. Vote.
Hope looks like?
It looks like everybody in the community coming together and seeing everybody equally, seeing everybody in the same part of your journey to being better and making this entire country better.
The biggest misconception about the NAACP is
that we are not involved in community, actively involved in community, but we are actively involved. We hold meetings monthly. We also come out in the community. Come see us. You'll find us because we're always out doing something, especially all the committees. The Political Action Committee is engaged and involved during the week, on weekends. So you will find us. Come to our website, get involved, join our organization, get on the mailing list, and you'll see we are actively engaged and we need you.
Building community brick by brick starts with?
Each of us.
When history looks back 10 years from now, what do you hope people will say the DeKalb County NAACP helped build for the people of DeKalb County?
Just as the foundation that was laid in 1909 was something that was transformational for the entire country, for the entire nation, we understand now that with that, those iconic visionaries, then the DeKalb County branch is following every model, every strategic position to make sure that we represent that on a much smaller scale via DeKalb County, but we touch every citizen in DeKalb County to make a difference, not only in the county, but you'll also impact the entire state and this entire nation. You're part and parcel of everything that takes place in this entire nation. You're not just one individual, but you're also at that foundation, that brick that stabilizes us to be a powerful source and to make this country much better than it is at this point in time.
Powerful. That was so powerful. Mr. Smith, thank you for joining us. Is there a way that we can reach you or DeKalb County NAACP?
Absolutely, Deb. Thanks again for having us. The NAACP DeKalb County branch is committed to the DeKalb County community and the rights of all individuals. Now, the NAACP DeKalb County branch can be reached at 404-241-8006. Our website is www.naacpdekab.org. You can also email us at information@naacpdekab.org. As I am third vice president, I feel free to, and political action committee chair, we'd love to hear from you. My email is, my phone number is 770-354-7678. So we look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to you joining the NAACP and being a part of the solution for this, not just DeKalb County, but this nation. You have that much power.
Thank you, Dwain. Thank you for watching Zlography. Every episode ends with an action. Take 15 minutes this week to learn who represents you. Attend a public meeting or learn about a civic organization. Knowledge is the foundation of civic education. The more informed you are, the better equipped you are to build stronger communities. Strong communities are not built overnight. They're built brick by brick. One informed citizen, one engaged neighbor, one act of service at a time. Like, subscribe, comment, and follow. I'm Debz. This is Zlography. Thank you for joining us.